Hey y'all, welcome back to Scorp Tarot. Well, happy Tuesday to you all. I wanted to come in with a quick little weekly check in and just talk about something briefly that I've been seeing and made a note of. I know as we are coming more into the summer months or getting closer to the summer months, I know that there are some midterm elections that will be coming up soon as far as politics. And I normally, don't talk about politics because politics is personal. Here in America, you have a right to vote for whoever you want to vote for or not vote at all if you choose not to do so. That's your right, and I feel like you don't have to, no one has to explain that to anybody. You vote for who you want to vote for or don't vote at all. Because I know religious people that don't even vote. They have religious beliefs that where they don't want to align themselves with people that they don't trust or believe in, so they don't vote. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk about is kind of just say, address how I have been feeling over the last several years in regards to politics. Me as a, I guess you would call me, I guess once you're over the age 40, you're considered a middle-aged person. I don't know how that goes. 40, 50 years old, you're considered middle age. But as a mature individual, most of my adult life, I voted. Like since I was 18, I started voting at 18 and voted regularly in both presidential political races and also county, city, local level also. I believed in that. But over the last, and this is just my own personal, like my own personal testimony. Over the last, like, I want to say maybe 10 years, I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed in politics. And to be honest, what I was most disappointed in were people that looked like me who got into office. Well, even before they got into office, before they even got into office, they said they would. They made promises that they didn't keep. They had conduct that was, you know, deplorable in some cases, and just downright, like you wouldn't expect to see some of the things that we're seeing, and especially today. Today is Tuesday, what, April 14th, I believe. Today they're showing on the news where there are two, I believe there are two Congress persons that have resigned their seats because of misconduct. Like they were involved in sexual misconduct. And it's like, why are we putting these people? And this is one of the issues I had with the church too. This is one of the issues I had with the church. That's why I stopped going to church years ago. And as if you follow my channel, you all know I always talk about it. I grew up in the Black AME church. That is my roots. I was at church probably 3 or 4 times a week. So it's very, and for my whole childhood. So it's very much ingrained in the person that I am. And that's what I come out of. So I'm very familiar with the Black church. And that was one of the reasons why I stopped going to church. I started looking around, and that's the one thing when you are a thinker, when you are I'll just say an independent thinker, you can only be fooled for so long until your natural instincts start to kick in and you start looking around, and then you see. I hope I don't have anything in my teeth. I was just eating some sunflower seeds. But anywho, you start looking around, if you're a thinker, and you start looking around and you're saying, why am I sitting here letting this man, which most of every pastor, every church I've ever been to, it's been a man. I've never been to a church or been a member of a church that was a woman. So my specific case, I'm going to say man because that's what I was used to. I'm not about to sit in this church and allow this man to point at me and lecture me about all manner of sins. And most of the time, when you're talking sins, they're either going to be talking to you about either one is going to be which tithing is not even a sin, but they try to guilt you into, if you study psychology, you know what it is. They try to guilt you into paying tithes, which is a 10% on your, and they even specify it can't be 10% on your take home pay. No, they want 10% of your gross. That's how it always was in churches that I was a member of. And I do believe in giving. You're talking to somebody who, I started a nonprofit charity, what, 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. So, yeah, I believe in helping the needy, feeding the hungry, providing school supplies for children, and helping just those in need. I do believe in that. And you have to be able to finance that. And if tithes are being used to do that, then that all makes sense. But in a lot of cases, when you're talking about tithes, they're not using that money to help the community. Now, luckily, in the church that I grew up in, like I said, from the time I was in like first grade to the time I graduated from high school and went off to college, my church, my home church, St. Paul AME in Lakeland, Florida, that particular church was a good church. It wasn't perfect. Everybody in there wasn't perfect, but they did have programs that were for children. They did have an in-house daycare center that ran Monday through Friday. So, and then we went to summer camp. And summer camp was in a different city. It was in Miami. So, and we had some of everything. It was a real community event back then, but they don't do things like that anymore. So that was one of the reasons why I was so disappointed in church. I'm like, I'm not about to sit up in here paying tithes and I'm not sure where the money is going. I'm not seeing a return on my investment. And then two, the behavior. Yeah, the behavior of pastors. If you've been a member of a church for a while, like I've been a member of a church where a pastor had to get up in front of the church and apologize to everybody in the church because he had some sort of sexual affair, sexual something. And it's like, I ain't never done that. So why am I about to sit up in here supposedly being led, spiritually led by someone who's still struggling with their own fleshly whatever? You need to sit down. If you know, and don't get me wrong, I get it. When you're in a position of power, it does draw more eyes upon you. And if you're not mature enough or wise enough to be able to handle that, then you probably don't need to be in that position, because that's going to be one of that's going to be something that could cause your demise. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not mature enough to handle the power that you're given, then that's going to be, that could be something that causes your demise. And so a lot of churches, a lot of pastors deal with that. But that was one of the reasons why I was like, no, I'm not going to church anymore. It's not like what it used to be. But the church tied to the politics, I want to get back to that. Church, as someone who grew up in the AME church, I always can remember politicians coming to the church to talk about, wanting the people of the members of that church to support them, the candidates. And they're making promises, acting like they're so down with the people and share similar ethics and morals and things like that. But that's, a lot of times we see that's not the case. So that's what I want to say. I'm so disappointed in these politicians. Like, you all need to go sit down, especially the old ones, especially the more mature ones. A lot of you all have been in position for years. Now, some of you have done good work. I give props and where they should be given. But at the same time, we're seeing that a lot of you all are getting these positions and becoming rich for yourselves. You're not doing right by we the people. You're not doing right by your constituents. You're not doing right by strengthening and financing your local constituents. What you're there for, it would seem, based on facts and truth, is that you're just there to enrich yourselves and to enrich your friends and to enrich your sorority sisters and fraternal brothers. Like, that time is old. That time is up for that. I'll put it that way. People, these young people, and just people are not even just the young people. People are awake now. We see exactly, like, you've had 50 years, you had 60 years. If you wanted to do something good, you would have done it by now. But the Al Sharptons, the Roland Martins, the I'm not gonna say him because he just passed away. So, but you people who have been working civil rights angle and political angle, it's time for you all to step aside because there's a new regime and we want action. We want real tangible action. So that's what I want to say to you guys. All right, y'all, take care. Namaste.